Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special of Diary of a Double, the year-long journey of Antonio Argüelles, who's going to attempt a two-way crossing, 67 kilometers across the English Channel, from England to France, and then from France to England. And this is week 10 of his training. Welcome, Antonio.
Hi, Steven. Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches to our audience wherever you are in the world.
Yes. And
Steven,
you were, pardon me?
10 weeks have gone.
Yeah.
10 weeks have gone by.
It's
You
quick.
know,
It's been going quick.
yeah, it's been quick. I was thinking about that this morning. That we've been talking for about 10 weeks, and that's almost 1/5 of the way.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
And today you were on your Las Aztecas, the river near Mexico City, and explain your training there.
oh yes, I went there today. I I wanted to start earlier because since it's very popular, people get there, later during the day,
Uh-huh.
and we want hopefully not many triathletes hear us, but there are a lot of triathletes and they don't know how to navigate. So they're always getting in your face, or they don't move when you're passing them. So
Yeah.
I started at 6:30 doing some stretching and getting warm up, and then I swam for almost 3 hours. And Rafa, we have three different lengths that we can
Okay.
swim. Sorry, I'm in my
No,
garden.
no problem.
Uh, one is a short version, which is 15 minutes. Then we have a longer version that's 40 minutes, and then we have the long version, which is an hour.
Okay.
The long version, which is an hour, it's really painful because as the river gets narrower, when you
Oh,
start for the first part, the curve is really hard. So luckily today I only had to do two short ones and three long ones.
got it.
And in the long ones, 2 out of 3 were trying to get pace,
Okay.
and we know that I have to be, when it's pace, I have to go up in
Okay.
about between 21 and 22 minutes.
Okay.
um, I try not to go either faster or slower,
Okay.
and that's a challenge, Stephen, because when you're in a river going uphill, you don't have any pace clock,
Yeah.
A-
Yeah.
and even though if you have, if I can see in this then this bridge, it's this percentage, and then that, looking at your watch, it's just you just lose time. So you have to be very focused on your rhythm. And then the third one was with changing paces, and I
Okay.
had to go and do 1 minute at R4, and then 2 minutes in R2. And again, since I don't have a pace clock, or I don't have I don't see my watch, I just count strokes.
Okay.
And I do 60 strokes for R4, and then I do 120 strokes for um, R, R, R2. The first one is R4 is 1 minute, R2 is 2 minutes.
So you're not only are you working hard on and changing your pace, you're focused, you're concentrating the entire time.
Yes, you have to focus. It's when I finish, it's I'm tired mentally and I'm
Yeah.
tired physically. Um, when you go down, you can relax a little bit,
Okay.
but when you go up, you have to be very focused.
Yeah. How is that different from when you're in the ocean and just doing something in Acapulco or even the English Channel?
For example, when I was in Acapulco, um, when we're in the ocean, we do other drills.
Okay.
Um, for example, when you're swimming the English Channel, or when I did Catalina back and forth, or any of the Ocean
Yeah.
Sevens, you're gonna be in the water for between 12 and 24 hours. Okay, so you're gonna be tired mentally and physically. So what Rafa and I do, we do um, segments. For example, when we were in Acapulco, and next month when I'll be in La Jolla, we do 30-minute, the first hour's pace, then we do
Okay.
30-minute pace, and then mental training. For
Got it.
example, I have count strokes, for example, and see how long can I go without any mental distraction.
Got it.
So if, for example, I start 1, 2, and if something comes to my mind, then it's just not 1 or 2, I have to go back. And the farthest I've gone is 628
Wow.
without without thinking about anything. But that makes you focus, and
Yes.
you're gonna need focus because something is gonna happen. And then another exercise we do is we do qigong, where I have to swim and imagine that I'm doing my this relaxing exercise that I do, and that helps a lot when you get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
When you're sorry, Steven, I'm using my katsu,
Okay.
so I have to punch the
Re-
next number.
yeah.
Um,
I'll ask you about that as we get later after your workout.
yeah. So that's the difference. In las estacas, it's just more rhythm uphill.
Okay.
That that is, it might seem to be easy, but because you never know how much current, how much water you're gonna have. Some
Yeah.
days it's more different than the other one. So getting that pace is complicated.
Yeah. What I like about these last 10 weeks that we've been discussing your training is you and Rafa do a lot of different things, and each
Yes,
thing has a purpose.
yes. With all due respect to my previous coaches, which I have had many, they were really boring. They were, Don Jacqueline, one at the ANSA. One day I said, write the workout, put it in a paper, and if I can guess what we're gonna do today, we'll skip practice. So he wrote it, and I said we're gonna do this, this, and this. And he was so upset because I knew exactly what he's gonna do, on his cycle. So he never changed the things. I mean, it was always the same boring thing. And but one thing about Rafa, and this is something that I'm glad you asked the question. Um, Many times we as athletes or swimmers do not want to question our coaches. We just take it for granted whatever they say.
Yeah.
And to me, now that I'm an old man, that's been a big mistake because asking your coach questions gives you two things. Number one, how much he knows about it, what he's doing,
Yeah.
and you can see if he really knows what he's doing. And second, you understand what you're doing. So the day Rafa is not with me, I know exactly why I have to do things.
Yeah.
For example, one thing that when you do running, you do this explosions of speed, okay? And then you rest, and then you do another one, and you rest. In the pool, you cannot do that. So
Yeah.
we do 12.5, 25, or 37.5. And I was keeping not the same pace, but just not lowering enough the pace. So Rafa told me, I mean, the whole purpose of the workout is not how fast you go. You have to recover very slow. Now I'm not afraid of going slow after I go fast in those explosions that we do. Yeah, Rafa is very knowledgeable. He and I we only discuss when I want to put paddles into the
Okay.
workout. He told me the other day, yeah, then we have to find a crossing that you can wear a pool boy and paddles. And
Yeah.
until then, you don't use pool boys and paddles
Yeah.
regularly.
Yeah. Well, in addition to being very specific as to your workouts, like you said, it's not boring, it's enjoyable. And I want to remind people that Rafa gives you your sort of week menu on Sunday nights, correct?
Sunday mornings.
Sunday mornings. So do you like that when a coach tells you, okay, starting on Monday, you're going to do this, this, and this, as opposed to perhaps your other coaches never told you anything and you showed up at the pool and you just did what they did? Do you prefer knowing ahead of time?
Yes. You know what the big difference is? When we, probably this happened to you as well. When we were younger, we would arrive at the pool without knowing what's going to happen. I mean, we knew we
Yeah.
were going to do 8,000 or 10,000. I mean, that was
Yeah.
the only thing we knew. And then he would just put it in the blackboard what we're doing, and then suddenly you have this very complicated set, because every day there's a complicated set, and you didn't have any time to think about it,
Yeah.
and prepare yourself mentally and how you're gonna do it, and if you need to be careful on the pacing, and if you want to do negative splits, how you're gonna do it,
Yeah.
and all of those things. So when Rafa sends me the workout on Sunday, the first thing I do is just read it really quickly and see just how it is, okay?
Yeah.
And then I analyze each one of the days, and sometimes Rafa gets very excited, and he is putting times. Not, that's why we changed to R1, R2,
Okay.
R3,
Okay.
because some days you're very tired, and if your coach says you have to go at this interval, and you're tired, you're not going to achieve it, then you're going to feel bad. So that's a reason we changed just to ours.
Yeah.
And then um, I set myself mentally which are going to be the tough days,
Okay.
and I know it's going to be either Tuesday or Thursday. And then, for example, next week, Stephen, you know, we're going to have the 10 1,000s again.
Okay.
So I know that's going to happen, and that, you know, that has me thinking already, because I have to perform. So yes, knowing what's going to happen during the week helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do notice you have some black bands on your arms,
Yes,
and it's called Katsu. And
yes.
of course, I know it well. But um, before we get into how you use it, have you seen any effects on yourself?
Yes. You know what happened? I used to have an old version of the Katsu, and it got stolen,
Uh,
and I was very, 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 very sad about that. And you know when was the last time I used my old Katsu? When I did the double Catalina,
okay.
and you should have seen how fast I recovered.
Yeah.
Basically, what it do to my arms. I don't use it frequently in my legs. I basically use my arms. They relax them a lot.
Yes.
They make my, you know, it's really sometimes in the morning when you go into the pool and you swam last day and you went to work and you get into the pool. If I don't use Katsu, my arms feel tired, and it takes me a long time to warm up.
Yeah.
Since I started using Katsu again, because I got this new one the week ago, um, I feel very relaxed.
Great.
My arms are very light.
Yeah.
It's feeling light,
Yes.
and I think this is something that for anybody who's serious about open water swimming, this is a must, because your recoveries are going to be better. And the other thing that I've noticed is that I sleep very well. But not only do I sleep very well, but I sleep soundly very well. So I
Yeah.
have this thing called Whoop,
Yeah.
and it tells me every day, every night how well I slept. And usually during the week, I only get maybe one yellow, and if I'm lucky, one green. This week, out of 7 days, I've had 3 greens and 3 yellows.
Wow.
So that's the effect.
Yeah.
And I haven't been sleeping much more than I usually sleep.
Yeah.
So it's a great device.
Yeah.
You know, it, it might be interesting that you tell people the first how you discovered how was Katsu discovered, because
Yeah.
I always think about that, and the effects that more than I said.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was invented in Japan by a Japanese doctor, and I was coaching the USA open water team back in the 2001 World Championships. And it was there that I learned about this Japanese technology. And I immediately, you know, took a liking to it. I understood it. And I went to the inventor, this Japanese doctor, and I said, I don't understand why, like the rest of the world doesn't have this technology. And he said, oh, there's two reasons. First reason is I don't speak English. And I was speaking to him in Japanese. Said the second reason is I never travel outside of Japan. I
Okay.
said, oh, I speak English and I travel outside of Japan. And I said, could you teach me what you're doing? And he said, sure. And I said, do you have a book or something I could read to prepare? And he says, no, it's all in my head.
Oh no.
And so I said, okay, well, I will come back to Japan and I would love for you to teach me. And he was very kind. He says, yes, I know you're going to travel all the way from California to Tokyo and I'll be very happy to teach you. So a few months went by. I went back to Japan and he started to teach me. But of course, I had to return back home. And then that continued for 13 years. 13
Wow.
years. So I
So
would,
you were being taught like that to do like a sushi, that to
yes,
teach one sushi, yeah, it takes years and years to learn the sushi.
yes, yeah. So I would go back to Japan 4 to 6 times a year. I would visit Dr. Sato, the inventor, and gradually he would teach me everything, everything, everything. We did everything. He taught me how to use it on professional athletes, on Olympians, on old people, on people who were comatose, on car accident victims, on people who had cerebral palsy and multiple sclerosis. And finally, after 13 years, he never told me when my training was over. Never. So I never knew how much more or how much training I need to go. I just knew that everything he was teaching me was very, very valuable. And finally, in of January of 2014, so I met him in 2001. And then in 2014, January, he said, okay, you can, let's introduce this to the world. And by that time, after 13 years, I had been in a hospital with him and I'd been taught all about anatomy and physiology. And finally, when he said, oh, you're ready, suddenly I got nervous. So up until that time, I said, when is this going to be over? When is this going to be over? But in the Japanese culture, you never ask your sensei, something. He just tells you. So I was
Okay.
waiting, waiting, and waiting. And then he says, okay, you're ready. You know enough. Then I got nervous. And then I think he saw my nervousness. He says, it's okay. You should be comfortable in your knowledge. And so here we are now. And
Yes.
what I like about this, initially my first reaction when he showed me this technology was not for myself. It was not for business. It was actually for my parents. When I
Okay.
saw him working with all the older people, not athletes, just regular old people, and he told me, we want to introduce this to the older population. And I said, oh, great. So that was my interest. And when I see it, especially for extreme athletes like yourself, who are, let's say, over 50 years old, I can't think of anything better than this. It's so good. And what you just said about this first week of your use is what most extreme athletes say. I mean, it isn't, you guys are all going to work hard. Working hard is not a problem. It's the recovery that's important.
And especially if you lead a life like the one I do. I mean,
Busy.
yeah, busy. Now with being in the house with COVID, it's a little bit lighter. But just think that the same thing happens to you. We travel 3 or 4 days out of the week, and we're on airplanes and airports and getting up and down and getting up in the morning very
Yeah.
early to be able to go to swim before you have the first meeting and stuff like that. So no, I'm very happy, Stephen. It's
Yeah.
a it's a pleasure that you introduced me to Katsu.
Yeah. Well, that's good because the better you can recover, the better your next workout will be.
Exactly, totally.
And
So
and and your workouts, I mean, Rafa isn't easy on you.
no, he's not. He's not. He pushes me,
Yeah.
and but I enjoy it. I mean, it's I always ask myself the question, why are some people that go to the pool and they complain to the coach wherever they're doing? So, or they go to the pool and they don't finish their workouts. Just why to waste so much time? Or the ones that are in the pool and are talking all the time. Oh, I hate that. I mean, people think that I'm very unsociable, but when you go in the pool, it's like, you're in workout. It's not a social event. I mean, you don't go and gossip and want to ask questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not very friendly in the pool.
No, you're focused.
Yeah, I'm very focused. I have to focus.
Yeah. And I did want to mention you and Rafa are teaching some new people, right?
Yes, yes. It was your idea, Steven.
Yeah.
It was your idea, and we're gonna test it here in Mexico. We decided that we're gonna start on Saturday the 7th and
Okay.
Sunday the 8th. We're gonna have a afternoon session on Saturday and a morning session on Sunday, and we're gonna go for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And the format is Rafa is gonna explain half an hour each one of the themes that we want to address. For example, doing strength and technique and mental training and stuff like that. We have different topics. Safety, very
Yeah.
important. 6 different topics, and then we'll open the microphone for half an hour for questions, and we're testing it with only 25 people
Okay.
in each one of the groups, because if you have more than 25 people, it's very difficult to interact
Yeah.
with people. So I'll report on that. I'm very happy. You know, Nora gives clinics and some other friends, but they take people over to Las Estacas usually.
Yeah.
Um, and but the problem is when you do that, you get such a difference in swimming
Ah,
abilities
yeah.
that it's very complicated to do it. And I've helped her in some of them. I usually, when she does it, I go and give a talk. So we decided it will be better to give them all the theoretical aspects, and then they can go to their coaches. And the second thing is that um, if Nora or I were, or Rafa were to travel to some of the states in Mexico, the clinic will be very expensive. You
Ah,
have to pay for airfare, you have to pay
yeah.
for hotel, you have to pay us a fee. And what Rafa and I decided is that we were going to do it in a relative, it's going to cost $40
Okay.
for 6 sessions. $40 for 6 sessions.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh, that's very good price.
yeah, and you know why we're telling people, no, we're doing this, and every entry fee goes to the foundation,
Oh, okay.
where we teach the children to swim in public
Yeah.
schools. So it's a function of the foundation.
Oh, great.
As you know, Rafa is the technical director, and and so we'll see if it works, and we're successful. This is something that we might to do it more often, and also see if we can find people in the English speaking world that would want to do it. Because one thing we learn, at least in my business, which is teaching, and dealing with teachers nationwide, is that COVID changed the way you do teacher training.
Yeah.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. It's a different ball game now. Because before it was so expensive, you had to bring them into a room, and it was a lot of extra expenses that we don't have right now.
Yeah.
And right now we're starting a program in that business that we're gonna teach 12,000 teachers every week
Oh,
for
wow.
for 5 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. And before we did 6,000. So as I say, once you do Manhattan, you can do Catalina, and then you can do the English Channel. The same thing with teacher training.
Yeah. Oh, great. Great. And how would somebody know about your program, or where can they go online, or
Instagram,
Instagram?
and in my Facebook page or Instagram,
Okay.
and they can sign in through Eventbrite. I
Okay.
guess that's
Eventbrite. Yes.
that we also have in the States.
Yes. Yeah.
Eventbrite. Yes.
Yeah. And what is your Instagram handle?
my handle is Argüelles.
His last name? Yeah.
Yes, Siete Mares.
Okay.
That's
Great.
Instagram code.
7 C's.
Seven C.
Okay.
You know what happened today? Just before we finish, we were in Las Estacas, and there was a little kid, maybe
Yeah.
5, 6 years old, and so I came to the ladder where I feed.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, would you let me go out?" I said, "Yeah," and start talking to him, and I asked him, "What's your name?" And he said, "My name is Alejandro," and he asked me, "What's your names?" I said, I'm the pirate of the seven oceans." And he just looked at me. I mean, this guy must be crazy.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I don't know if we mentioned it. So you did about 7,000 meters today up and down the river?
Yeah, 7,800.
Okay.
And I'm participating in the WOWSA 100 kilometers for the month of October, and today I'm 99.1.
Okay.
So tomorrow I'll reach 100,000, and my goal is that I should be between 120 and 130 by the end of the week.
Okay. And what place are you? What's your ranking right now?
Today I was 13th.
Okay.
But I thought I would be better placed in my age group. So I went and put my age group, and there's two persons that are swimming more than I do. So I'm glad you mentioned last week that I had to be a little bit crazy to do these things. But there are people that are crazier than me, so that makes me feel relaxed.
All right. Well, have a good week, training hard, recovering well with Katsu. And of course, I know we didn't talk about this week about your food, but whatever you're going to be eating, I know it's going to be delicious.
Yeah, today's gonna be fish.
Okay.
But we'll report next week.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Thank
Take
you.
care, Steven. Adios.